What is good, everyone? Hope everyone's doing amazing today. I'm Charlie from Conscious Creation, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my journey of NoFap. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail about what it is because there's plenty of information about it on the internet, but I haven't really planned this video. I've just got my notes here, so I'm just going to go through my notes and explain to you my experience from doing NoFap. Now, NoFap is basically refraining from masturbation and porn. And my journey started about 2.5, 3 years ago, and I noticed these incredible benefits, which I'd love to share with you today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be sharing with you the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual benefits of this journey. So let's start talking about the physical. Now, when you retain your seed or your semen as a man for 1 week, your testosterone increases. I think it's up to about 145%. So that masculine drive, that masculine energy starts to come out within you. And when you start this stuff and you start to build up this, it's known as life force, it's your chi, as your prana, your yang energy. It's a lot of energy in your nervous system, and it can be quite overwhelming. And this is why many people relapse and they go on this journey to eventually where they can retain it for longer periods of time. But as you are retaining your seed, your semen, it has so much vitamins and minerals to it because of its essential amino acids and your protein. So the physical benefits that I've noticed is that your skin becomes more glowy, your hair becomes stronger and thicker, your voice becomes a bit deeper. Even your eyesight, I find, has almost improved a little bit. I mean, my eyesight's not great, so there's not going to be a huge difference for me on that one, but like your alertness towards things is much more enhanced. But also the physical benefits in terms of like strength and muscle building, because testosterone is the muscle building hormone. Like I used to be a personal trainer for about 5-6 years, and before I started my NoFap journey is when I started to see these crazy benefits. Now, when you're younger, sort of around your teenage years, early 20s, is you can actually release your seed and regenerate very quickly. You can get your energy back in a day or two. When you start to get a little bit older, now I'm not old, I'm only 27, but I've started to notice that it could take a little bit longer until that energy starts to come back again. So you have this increased energy when you're on NoFap. But when it comes to the gym as well, is things like your strength gains, your ability to increase the amount that you're lifting happens a lot quicker. You can build muscle a lot quicker. I also practice things like fasting, which is when you don't eat for an extended period of time to help reset your system. And I've noticed that, in the past when I wasn't in NoFap and I did things like fasting, it would feel like I was losing weight or losing size quite quickly. But when you're retaining your seed because of that testosterone, you feel like you're still holding onto that muscle and onto that size, which is another amazing benefit. Also things like your posture as well, just the way that you carry yourself, the way that you walk, is because of that testosterone, is your shoulders are back, you kind of got more confidence in your stride, and just the way that you feel about yourself is a lot better. So let's talk a little bit about the mental components of it. So mentally, I've noticed you have so much more clarity. Like when I started making videos, I used to write all of this stuff. Well, I say that, I'm writing it down here, but I used to write it down. I used to try and rehearse it so I could memorize it. And sometimes it would take me like a day or two or even 3 days to try and memorize what I'd written down instead of just allowing it to flow. But when you're in NoFap, the information just seems to be there much clearer. If you've ever watched a film with Bradley Cooper, Limitless, when he takes the pill, like all the information is there in an organized fashion for him to use. And it's a bit like that when you're on NoFap. I mean, it's not to that degree, but it's much easier for the information to be available to you. And You're much clearer when it comes to your conversations. You can hold conversations a lot better. The words just seem to be more fluent when they come out of your mouth. And also you become much more mentally strong as well. Like when you have that urge to release as a man, to release your seed, it is a highly strong urge. It's one of the most powerful urges that we can experience as a human being. So when you sink into that feeling and you're able to surpass it without giving in to that urge, is you build this mental strength, this discipline. And so this mental fortitude starts to come about when you practice NoFap. Also, if you're hearing like birds and stuff, I've been currently living in Bali for the last 6 months. I'll show you where. That's where I'm staying at the moment. Yeah, I love this place. You like wake up in the morning, go to the gym, go and have good food. It's an amazing place. I'm originally from the UK, from England, so coming out here is amazing. All right, let's talk about the emotional aspect of NoFap. Is you stop caring, you stop giving a fuck what everyone else thinks because of that increased testosterone. Is you take more risks. Like for me, talking about NoFap and the stuff I'm talking about on this video, like a year ago would have been nuts. I would have never have done this. But you're much more willing to fail. You're much more willing to put yourself out there because you realize you can just pick yourself up and go again. And you're not really concerned with what people are thinking and what people are saying when it comes to creating your life. Many times we are so afraid of taking that first step because of what other people are going to think. What are my friends going to think? What's my family going to think? And you end up getting to a place where you're like, screw it. It doesn't matter, you know? And it gives you a much better perspective. But also as well, emotionally, is people sense it. I've noticed this like when you go to the gym, the grocery store, or hang out with people, is because you've got this build-up of life force that you haven't released, is people sense it. And women are actually much better at sensing. You know, they're much more emotional, they're much more feeling than men. And I've noticed that women sense it a lot as well. I mean, you shouldn't do it for the purpose of attracting women, but there is definitely that component to it because, you know, they can sense it. And even men can sense it and give you a sense of respect for it because I think it's to do with biology, but people can sense it when you're radiating this life force and this energy, which is pretty cool. Okay, the last one is spiritual. Okay, the spiritual aspects. Now for me growing up, I've always been a compassionate person. I've always been empathetic. I remember when I was about 3 years of age, I saw this like bumblebee in, you know, one of those mini swimming pools that you have in the garden. And, you know, I wanted to pick it up and put it in I wanted to save its life. I ended up getting stung by it. But I've always been a compassionate and empathetic person because I also do healing as well. And this is what allows me to do the healing because I can feel other people's feelings and what they feel, you know, whether or not they're insecure or vulnerable. But I've noticed on NoFap as well, when you get this buildup of energy within your body, is that's like taken to a whole nother level. It's like an upgrade. And you know, when it comes to healing, it's much more powerful for me. The energy that can flow through my body and into that person is much more powerful. So yeah, I've noticed that you don't just see people in sort of on the surface level, particularly women. So, you know, men on the whole will look at women like, oh, can I sleep with this woman? You know, is she viable? And all those kind of things. And you start to see past that stuff because when you're on NoFap, you need to focus on that not being, you know, what you're trying to do. You're building things, you're creating things in your life, but you also see other people on a much deeper level. Like you look at women beyond their looks and beyond their makeup, and you know, you look deeper into them like that of their soul. And the final thing is, in terms of the spiritual benefit, is your third eye. So your third eye starts to open a lot more. If you're not sure what your third eye is, basically known as your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is about the size of a raisin. I've done a video about this, but it goes through this process of growing once you start to open up your third eye. And the reason for this, it starts to become more activated, is as you retain your seed and your sexual energy, is it starts to build up through your body and it goes into your brain and actually hits your pineal gland. And this starts off the process of a spiritual awakening for many people, a kundalini. If you look at the amazing work of a chap called Mantak Chia, who has written a few books about this, and he teaches this in his workshops, but he can actually teach men how to pull semen from the lower part of their body. They pull it out of their testicles, literally out of their testicles, up the spine, through your coccyx into something called your sacrum, and within your sacrum is something known as your hiatus, and it then climbs up the spine and into the brain. Now it takes a bit of practice to be able to do this properly, but it gets pulled up the spine and into the brain. If you look at certain religious texts, they talk about something known as the golden nectar. This is the golden nectar, is your semen coming up through your spine and into your brain, and then you can circulate the sexual energy through something called your microcosmic orbit. So that is a massive benefit to that of NoFap, but this takes practice, and it's going to be something that you wish to do if you decide to do it. So these are just my takes on it. Take it for what you will. Give it a go yourself. I mean, what I found with people as well is when they start this journey, they can go for like 2-3 days and then they relapse and then they go again. But for each time, they're able to extend it for longer and longer periods of time as their body starts to get used to it. And you start to have all of those amazing benefits. And particularly I've noticed as a man is, you want that masculine energy, and you build it through retaining it. Testosterone is the ultimate thing that gives you the biological essence of a man. So if you are retaining your seed, like I said, after 1 week, your testosterone increases by 145%, and then it gets absorbed into your blood if you don't release it, and that's when it starts to circulate through your body, and that's when you get all of these amazing benefits of these vitamins and minerals. So give it a go if you feel called to. But I hope this information has given you a better insight into the benefits of NoFap should you decide to give it a go yourself. Apart from that, peace, much love, many blessings.